live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Great to be with you on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, November 28th. We have a lot to get to in just a short amount of time. Going to go in depth tonight on the latest with Sean Reyes and Tim Ballard. Also looking at our freeway roads as the winter weather conditions move in here with a potential storm coming up this weekend. We'll talk to Chase about that. And also Celeste Maloy being sworn in Washington. Legal analysts are weighing in on the latest lawsuit filed against Attorney General Sean Reyes and Operation Underground Railroad founder Tim Ballard. Some say the plaintiff may have a tricky time proving her case. Some experts believe the plaintiff will have to connect a lot of dots to persuade a jury that the AG violated her First Amendment rights. Paul Nelson joining us live from the Matheson Courthouse here in downtown Salt Lake City. Paul, what else do these experts have to say about where the plaintiff stands right now among a laundry list of lawsuits at this point?
Well, on the plus side for the plaintiff, in a civil lawsuit, the burden of proof is not nearly as high in civil cases as it is in criminal cases. So they don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in this case. However, there are just a lot of hoops that this plaintiff is going to have to go through. For example, one of the things that they're going to have to prove was that if Sean Reyes actually violated her civil rights, her First Amendment rights, and prevented her from speaking out about Tim Ballard in Operation Underground Railroad, they're going to have to prove that he did it under the color of law, and that means that he basically did it as part of his job. And what could happen, though, if Reyes is able to prove that he did this as an individual citizen or maybe as a child rights activist or an anti-human trafficking activist on a personal level and not on a state level, then the whole case kind of has been undermined. So that's one of the obstacles that that the plaintiff is going to have to go through in order to prove that her civil rights and her First Amendment rights were actually violated in this case. And that's kind of a tricky thing to do, according to the experts that we spoke with.
Paul, at this point, the court process could take quite some time. No one is facing charges, right?
Yeah, no one is facing any kind of criminal charges for now. Who knows what's going to happen as things progress? Right now, it is just civil cases. But another thing that's going to be hard for the plaintiffs is prosecutors and the district attorneys and the attorney general. They have a lot of discretion when it comes to who they are going to prosecute, who they're going to charge. And if you read the complaint, I think it's on page 56 of the complaint of this most recent lawsuit, it claims that because Sean Reyes did not go and did not prosecute Tim Ballard, then therefore, and because he was so well connected with other parts of the state, whether it be law enforcement or, with his connections to maybe leadership of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but because he was so well connected and he wouldn't go after Tim Ballard, the plaintiff actually claims that is what made it so that she her right to speak out was basically violated. Now that is going to be another really hard thing to prove because, like I said, the prosecutors they don't really have. They have a lot of discretion, and people don't really have a ground to sue just because a prosecutor didn't prosecute somebody or use their discretion in the way that somebody else would have liked. So, I mean, not to say that this lawsuit is impossible, but yeah, it's going to be pretty tricky for the plaintiffs in this particular case.
All right, some good insight there. Thank you, Paul. Here at 2 News, of course, we've covered this and the lawsuits thoroughly that have been filed against Tim Ballard, also mentioning Sean Reyes, Operation Underground Railroad. We have a number of articles on our website over the past few weeks, few months. You can find that at KUTV.com. New tonight, a 2 News discussion with the Utah Department of Transportation on an issue that really impacts all of us. It's the visibility of lane markings on our freeways and the effort to improve that. With a few rounds of winter weather so far, drivers are saying this could be really difficult to see the road and see the lines during some bad weather and some tough conditions. Ariel Harrison had part of those conversations today with some folks at UDOT. Ariel, what did they talk to you about and what did they say about those concerns?
Well, they said they understand when people get concerned because it is frustrating when you're driving on the freeway and suddenly don't feel like you can see your lanes or know where you're going. In that instance, they of course say to slow down and, take it slowly if you're driving in those types of conditions. But they said there's a lot of misconceptions surrounding lane striping here in Utah. They get asked a lot, why no reflectors? Other states seem to have this in place. Why can't Utah? John Gleason with UDOT told me all of the product they put down on our roads have reflecting products in them. So he feels that's a misconception. They cannot, however, raise that on the highway because snow plows, as we know here in Utah, have to come through, plow our highways, and they would take those out if they were raised. So they have to do something strategically where they actually create divots in the road and put product in the road. One technique that they are implementing now in Utah County, Brian, is they've put down contrast striping, which you'll see it if you drive on the stretch of I-15 between Lehigh and Payson. They've completed it at this point, where you'll see a really long stripe of white and then to follow it a really long stripe of black. The contrast is supposed to help people against the gray asphalt be able to see their lanes a little bit better when we're, having inclement weather. But I mean, he said inclement weather is inclement weather, and sometimes it's just hard to see your lanes regardless. Another misconception he wanted to clear up: people say other states seem to have this figured out, why don't we? He said that's a misconception. Other states, just like Utah with similar climates, he said, do the very same thing they do, where they face these same challenges of having snowplows on their roads. He says they work with different DOTs and coordinate efforts, just like they come to us for advice as well when we're doing something that seems to work. I said, Colorado's a similar climate. What do they do? He said they do exactly what we do. So those were some of the things he wanted to clear up. Happy to discuss some of the funding that's allowing this, Brian. I don't know how much time you have left, though.
No, we've got time for you. I did want to ask you really quickly, please feel free to touch on the funding too, but you mentioned Utah County and that stretch of road. Any plans to expand that, Salt Lake County, further south, for our friends out to I-80, Tooele area, maybe Davis County, other areas that do get the same weather that Utah County does get come these winter months?
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's this is all part of a $26 million project. Utah County was the first portion of that. They are pausing work December 1st and beginning that once again for this Salt Lake, Tooele, Summit, and Davis County areas where they will be implementing again that contrast striping. It's also called tiger tail striping that you can, for instance, see, as I mentioned, in Utah County now because they've completed that work. But yeah, funding's allowing for this. It's an ongoing project that John Gleason with UDOT spoke with me briefly about. We have that story now live on our website, KUTV.com, if people want to check it out there, Brian.
Ariel, thank you. I think there's always a lot of context for those misconceptions, so thank you for asking those questions. Of course, we want to hear from you at home. What would make it easier to see lane stripes on Utah roads at night or, of course, during those tough weather conditions? Hey, we got a close viewer poll, first time in a few days. 40% of you saying reflectors installed into pavement. Okay. Next closest at 25%, reflective beads embedded into the pavement. And then glow-in-the-dark paint's an option, more lighting on the roadways. I actually think lighting in certain spots definitely would be helpful. It gets very dark out here, especially when the weather is doing its thing. So yes, I think this is one of those, Chase Thomason, that really we're going to juggle forever.
Yes, it's an issue. I think UDOT is aware that's an issue. So hopefully we can get some results in the next few years.
All right, well, let's talk about your forecast here and what's coming up. I think a lot of people, myself, I'm a follower of Chase Thomason on social media. So if he posts something about a storm coming, yeah, I'm all here for it. Take it away.
Yeah, and a lot of snow could be coming our way for the mountains. We have several storms moving in, maybe an atmospheric river. We talked about that, of course, last winter. But before we get to that, I want to recap the month of November.
Okay.
No more rain or snow is in the forecast for the last few days of the month. So this is where we're going to end up. Now, it might not have seemed like a really active month, but it was. We had several storms producing decent amounts of rain. In Salt Lake, 1.74, almost a half inch above normal. Of course, we averaged about 7 inches of snow, and we only had about 2 inches. So that was below normal, but we're doing okay. It's hard to compare this month to last month because every month was almost a record breaker, but we're doing okay. We're near average when it comes to the amount of moisture in our state, and the first few months of December are looking very unsettled. So let's get right to your forecast. And we want the active weather in the winter months because it's good for our ski industry, our snowpack, and it keeps those inversions from developing. Now, for tonight, it gets cold out in the Uinta Basin where we have strong inversions out right now, 9 degrees in Vernal. We'll be dipping into the mid to upper 20s along the Wasatch Front, 20s in central Utah, and 32 tonight down in St. George. Now tomorrow you'll notice a few more clouds rolling in, might be a degree or two milder, but it's still going to be pretty hazy here along the Wasatch Front. Low to mid 40s for highs. Park City will be at 40. Vernal will struggle to hit 30 degrees tomorrow, 42 in Moab, so we do have some cooler temperatures out in eastern Utah. I want to show you satellite. We have a deck of stratus clouds, so a low deck of clouds down and out in the Uinta Basin, indicating that strong inversion. That's going to stick around and kind of linger maybe for another day or two. Air quality is moderate today. It's moderate tomorrow, but it is forecast to be in the orange category on Thursday, which is sensitive for those sensitive groups, unhealthy for sensitive groups. So children, elderly, those with respiratory issues like asthma. If you can, stay indoors. If you can do remote work, that helps things out. The less pollution, the better. Now, by the end of the week, and especially by the weekend, we should have some better air as our storm system begins to move in. And again, there's a few of them. High pressure is bringing that stagnant air right now, and there is a weakening storm system, but it's going to be pushing into Arizona. There might be a few showers down in southern Utah Thursday morning. The best chance will be near the Arizona border. Central northern Utah completely dry on Thursday, just some clouds. But here comes that Friday storm, and it looks like a statewide storm. Not a ton of moisture yet, but maybe some widespread snow showers rolling in for northern and central Utah, with rain and snow showers down in southern Utah on Friday. And then it's out of here, but then we have a stronger storm rolling in with a lot more moisture, mainly for the northern half of the state Saturday and into Sunday, might even linger into Monday morning, and it's going to really pile up in the mountains. By Friday, though, with that first wave, we could see a dusting to a few inches in the valleys across most of the state except St. George. And then as we head into Saturday and Sunday, our valleys could see another 1 to 4 inches. Mountains, though, a lot of pink, indicating maybe 1, 2, 3 feet of snow. Not out of the question if you add it all up by Sunday. Now, St. George will have mostly cloudy skies, mid-50s through Thursday. A little bit of rain on Friday, not a lot. Partly cloudy skies over the weekend and cooler in the upper 40s and low 50s. Now, Salt Lake, we are in the low 40s for the next few days. We got the cloud cover and that haze. Snow showers on Friday, snow on Saturday, snow on Sunday. But temperatures will be going up. We might even see a little bit of rain mixing in on Sunday, but we'll see how it all shapes up, and we'll have more details as we get closer to these storms. So loving what I'm seeing Friday through Monday morning. And again, we could see significant snow at our ski resorts.
Well, I think if you are a skier or rider, if you like to get up to the mountains, do other stuff, that's what you want to see with Snow Basin opening on Thursday, Sundance spinning the lifts on Saturday, Deer Valley as well. So really, I mean, Snowbird, this is a Snowbird on Thursday. Can't forget our friends in LCC.
Well, the thing is, a lot of the resorts only have a couple runs open, so we want to open up some more terrain, because right now it's not a lot of fun to go up and hang out with thousands of people and do one run.
Yes, I agree. Sue looks good today, by the way.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Chase. Remember to download our 2 News weather app to know about those changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts and, of course, some live radar right at the palm of your hand. It is that easy. Just download the 2 News weather app today, and you can, of course, know what's coming on. Okay, so Utah's newest representative sworn in at our nation's capital today. It's Celeste Maloy. Take a look.
Congratulations, you are now a member of the 118th Congress.
Okay, so Celeste Maloy defeating Democratic State Senator Kathleen Reeby in last week's election, and Maloy succeeds Chris Stewart, who served a decade in Congress. And I spoke with Chris earlier today. You'll hear from him in just a moment. Our representative here at 2 News, Heidi Hatch.
Well, I was there with her on election night, which was just a few days ago on Tuesday, being sworn in exactly a week later. That has to be coming at you fast when that happens, because usually you win your election in November, then you don't get sworn in until the new year. You can build your staff, get ready, study up on the issues. So she has a lot of work to get done now, and probably a lot of catching up to do as well.
I spoke with Chris Stewart about this earlier today, specifically about what he believes she will focus on in D.C. Take a listen. What do you expect Celeste to focus on during her time in Washington?
Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different because she has different background and a different interest. I think she's probably going to be more focused on House Armed Services Committee. That's what she's indicated. Natural resource, though, is her real kind of sweet spot. I mean, it's where she has deep experience as an attorney. She obviously represents, as I did, rural and southern Utah that has enormous interest in federal policy regarding federal lands, environmental policy. I think I think she's going to be deeply involved with that, and it's a perfect fit for her because, again, that matches her background so well.
Thoughts?
Yeah, so she is a graduate of Southern Utah University. It's where she's most recently been living, and focused a lot of her campaign down there in Southern Utah, where she's dealt with land issues. Before she worked for Congressman Chris Stewart, she was working on a lot of that nitty-gritty attorney stuff that if we went and read would be very boring to us, but it matters to the people who live in Southern Utah and in some of these rural areas of Utah. So I do think that will be a large piece of her focus, but we all know that the districts here in Utah cover a wide swath of the state, so she's going to have to focus on all the issues that everyone else does. She's obviously been working for Congressman Chris Stewart, so she knows and understands the issues. But even when you know and understand the issues working, I'm sure it's a whole new ball game when you're actually in charge, running your own staff and figuring out those issues for yourself.
Stewart touches on this a little bit in another part of our conversation. Take a listen.
I hope it's okay to say this. It makes me very proud. It makes me very proud of her. I mean, she's done a remarkable transition in the sense of going from a member, a staff, for a member of Congress to actually being the member. I was talking earlier with someone. She's literally going to move into my office. I mean, she moves from a cubicle across the entryway into my office. That's kind of cool. But it, and I was glad and so proud to endorse and support her. But that's not the reason she won. The reason she won is she just ran a great campaign. And when people meet her, they trust her, they like her, they love her background. It's been fun to watch. It really has, because, it's one thing to watch someone who's, been around a long time, been in politics, someone with a lot of money, to watch them run for office or get elected. That's one thing. But to watch someone like Celeste, who comes from such a humble background, who no one knew who she was 4 months ago, and to see her win this, win the seat again, I just couldn't be more proud, and I'm just honored to call her a friend.
These two talk all the time, so they've been talking on and off, text messages, phone calls, and clearly, he mentioned it's great to have someone like Chris in your pocket when it's your first day and you go, what do I do?
You have questions.
When you have questions, and he said, I wish I had that. So at least they work together in that way. And then he also talked about how nice it is to have a woman in this role and representing the state of Utah. And I thought that was really nice that we had that conversation about Utah is really well represented by our delegation in a number of facets. So that's very cool.
That's right. Mia Love, I think it was 2018 since she's been in office, so it's nice to have a woman back there again. We'll be watching the work she does, and we've talked about this before, but she will have to file to run for another term because she only serves for a year filling out this Congressman Chris Stewart role, and 5 weeks from now she'll have to file to run again in the 2024 election, so here we go.
All right, thank you, Heidi. I know you have places to go, like 2 News at 6 coming up in 12 minutes. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. We are back tomorrow for another edition right here at 5:30. Have a great rest of your night. If you missed any part of our conversation, you can find it on our YouTube page right now. Have a good night.